Today I'll be doing a 5 by 5 a closure with our 613 5 by 5 and using our air extension as well 5 by 5. So today I'll be using a ventilated cap. I don't use that often, but I just like to use a ventilated cap to sew this one down because I wanted a colored stock cap, or I didn't have one, so I had that in ventilated cap. But ventilated cap is good as well. So I'm going to pin down the front closures down first, then map it out. And at that point, I'm showing you I'm leaving just a tiny bit of gap shooting forward of the cap, to map it out, because I like my frontals or my closures to come out just a tiny bit, not too much. So right now, right at the back, I'm going to pin that down as well, as flat as I can at the back, so that will give me a more accurate mapping out when I take it out and I want to sew it, so there is no issue with fitting it in. So you can see that's what the ventilated cap looks like at the back. So ventilated cap can be good because if after sewing it and it's probably too small or too small, it's easier to expand it and make it bigger. And if it's too big, you can actually just tack it together. It's easier to do that with a ventilated cap. So right now, I'm kind of mapping it out, to see where I'm going to sew it. And it helps to guide you when you do this. And when you're using a dome cap as well, you can do this if you're sewing with your hand. You don't necessarily have to sew with a sewing machine. You can start with sewing with needle and thread. But I think when you've sewn with needle and thread, you progress to the machine, it just makes it easier. But if you don't have one, don't be like, oh God, I'm so stressed, I need to get a sewing machine. No, you can actually start with needle and thread. At least that gives you the feel on the placement of the weave and all that. Right now, I'm sewing it on the sewing machine. And when you're sewing, even if you don't get the exact line of what you've mapped, you don't really have to, don't be stressed out. Don't worry about that. It's just a guide. It's a guide. So I finished sewing, and right now I'm going to place the closure on the cap. You have to have a blockhead to do this. It makes it easier because that is the perfect shape of a human head. So you place it down, and with the needle the same way you did before you sew it, and you still have some gaps, between. It's best to have some gap between the machine sewn and the closure. So in this instant, I'm sewing it down now. So I basically try to sew one side and I go to the other side and sew it as well. So while I'm sewing it, you can see I'm kind of pulling it, stretching it, so it's proper flat. I'm pulling the closure, like, to make it really flat. You can see my other hand is holding the closure while I'm sewing it. It's kind of pulling it. So after I finish sewing the closure down, the gaps, the little bit gaps of space between the closure and the wet, I am still going to sew some piece of hair onto those places. So right now I've gone to the other side to sew down the closure as well. I realized that when I sew in different section, it doesn't make the closure bumpy, right? If I try to sew it in just one go, like so from one end to the other, especially with closures, it's at times it's not really as flat. It doesn't really come out well because of the way most of the closures are constructed these days. With a frontal, it's fine. You can do it like that. But with a closure, you just have to sway it so it makes it really flat. And yeah, I'm still going at it, still sewing. Some people do use sewing machine to sew that bit. I don't feel comfortable with that at this point. I prefer using the needle and thread to attach the closures um on the wig. So I'm still kind of sewing it down, and at this point, because I've put it on both sides when I was sewing it, the back is kind of yeah, flat, so it's easier to sew without me pulling it at that point. So yeah, so you can still see those little gap there. So I'm just going to place a single bundle, sorry, a single width, just brown the closure so it's proper flat and fills in the gap as well, so it falls seamlessly. And I'm using a white thread. I use black thread because I realized I ran out of no, I didn't run out. The blonde thread I had was too thick for the sewing machine, so it was actually giving me grief when I was sewing, so I stopped using it. So I used the black thread to finish it up. And because I'm still going to color the roots, so it doesn't really matter that I use the black thread, because it's just going to blend in with the dark shadow on the road, so it's fine. So right now I finished sewing everything. You can see some of the black thread, but because I'm still going to put some, I'm cutting it out now. I'm cutting out the piece underneath the 5x5 closure. And when I cut out, I try not to cut everything as in really close to the wet. I try to leave just a tiny bit of um a small piece of pieces, because what happened is that eventually the closure of frontal is going to thin out, and because of the quality of hair I sell, the hair will last you for long. So when the hair thin out on the closure, it's easier to change the closure when you still have some tiny bits left, because you need that bit to pin down and be able to reattach a new closure to it. So I always leave out a tiny bit. So I'm just going to, and I use that kind of elastic band. It's like a brass strap. It's really good. I sell that as well. So I use that. If it's those kind of band, when it's when it's too tight, you can make it bigger. When it's too big, you can tighten it instead of reattaching it every time and fixing it back. I have to order food. You can see how nice and thick the shaft of the hair, the texture is thick and nice for a 613. So those are the kind of 613 and hair extensions we sell. This is a premium 613 hair extension, the premium range. This is the finished look before I color it. And please, thank you guys for watching this video, for taking that time to sit and watch it. And please leave any comments and like my video and subscribe to me, please. The more subscription I get, the more I'll be encouraged to post more video. Thank you.